Oh wow! It's the anniversary of the slow speed chase.
Of the what?
In about 2 weeks, it's the anniversary of the slow speed chase. It's this month.
Oh, you mean the O.J. Simpson thing?
Yep.
Oh.
I was
13
at
more days.
Upstate at the time.
Were you both watching it
I
on
was-
TV?
Well, after my 8th grade dance, I wandered home and watched it.
8th grade dance. Don't tell me how old you are. I'll come over
Too
there
old.
and stop it. Don't even get me started.
Well,
Oh,
Richard's the youngest one.
Let's say that was 96. I just started Buffalo State at that time, I think.
Oh, you're still young, so stop it.
Yeah, tell that to the rest of my body. Jeez.
I know.
Okay, everything is going according to plan. Shall I start the timer?
Do it up.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to restart the timer. Okay, when it says on the air, you're on the air, okay?
Okay. All right, welcome to another edition of Fair Catch. I'm Rob, that's Russ.
Yep.
And by the way, even though it's off season, it doesn't take a rest. 2 trades in the NFL just happened on Monday, and that would be. Let's go with the first one. I think this one is shocking. Myles Garrett to the Rams, and Jared Verse goes to the Cleveland Browns. Did you see this one coming?
Actually, I saw Myles Garrett getting traded. Actually, last year he had a chance to leave Cleveland, signed a huge contract for God knows why, and I think he wound up regretting it, seeing where the Browns went. So he wanted to get paid. Well, he got paid, and then wound up being like, okay, get me out of Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, you look at Cleveland right now, they don't know who their quarterback's going to be. Either Shador Sanders or Douglas Gabriel. They still got Deshaun Watson. And it's like Myles Garrett does not want to stick around for a rebuild. He wants to win a championship.
Well, I'll tell you what. Well, let's see. You do have Shador, and like I said, Gabriel. The Deshaun Watson contract ruined that team. But it's Cleveland, so it's a Brownsy thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think they got the record of how many quarterbacks they've been through since 1999. You know, and
I mean,
one of
their best quarterback probably in the last 40 years was Bernie Kosar, and if you want to go back further than that, Brian Sight.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm that old. Don't you dare. But I remember Brian Sipe, okay? Stop it.
Bernie Kosar.
Bills could have had Bernie Kosar, just so you know. But it's one of those things where you have an excellent player in Myles Garrett, NFL Defensive Player of the Year, broke the sack record. Whatever, 17 games versus 16 games, go cry to your whatever about that. But the best defensive player in the league going to the Rams.
Yeah.
And now they were talking, we got to get Aaron Donald out of retirement. He's been retired for like 4 years now or whatever.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't see it happening, but maybe if the money's right. But
yeah. Hey, never say never in the world of sports or pro wrestling for that matter. But
I mean, you look at the Rams right now. What they're doing is especially knowing that this is Stafford's last year. They're putting their chips all the way to the middle of the table for a Super Bowl. I mean, they got McDuffie earlier in the offseason from Kansas City. And then you got, I mean, obviously talented receivers all the way around. And over there, like Devontae. I think they still got Devontae Adams, if
Yeah,
I'm not mistaken.
and Puka Nakua, and
then,
Tyron Williams he's a
yeah.
beast. So
So they're putting their chips in that middle of the table.
yeah, why not? Why not? Hey, look, it's all about winning titles. It's all about winning the Super Bowl. It's all about winning Stanley Cup. It's all about winning the NBA title. I mean, whatever sport it is, that's what it's all about. If you get yourself to a certain level, and you think that you're one player away, go for it. Let the haters hate. Oh, you're bound to championship. So what? So what?
Yeah,
It's all about raising the trophy at the end of the day, and I don't hate the Rams for doing it.
no,
I don't hate them for doing that. I mean, a lot of people, and another thing is it's all about how you manage your cap too. The Rams have a whiz at managing their salary cap. So, hey, it's the Rams are going to be a scary team. They're going to be a scary team, but it doesn't guarantee them anything because they still got to go out there and play.
Yep, exactly. I mean, they were only one game away from the Super Bowl. They lost by 3 points to Seattle. Yeah. But I mean, Seattle just had a better team, and better defense, and they're the ones that won.
And you got to give it up to Seattle. They built their team. They built a tough team. I mean, they had, I don't want to say Sam Darnold is an average quarterback because he's had some pretty good years in the league.
Oh yeah.
Granted, he's had to go to 4 or 5 teams before, he had a couple of decent years in Minnesota. And then he had a pretty good year in Seattle, but he had a good surrounding cast around too. Jackson Smith and Jigba, he's one of the top receivers in the league already. I
believe they have another receiver too. Well, they have Cooper Kupp. I mean, that's
Cooper Kupp too. Yeah, I mean they have a good team, and they're going to be probably in the mix again. But that team is built around defense, and if you look at and the interesting part is what the Browns got in return. They got Jared Verse, who's a very good player.
Yep. And he's young too, 25 years old.
And he's still on the rookie contract, I believe.
Yep.
And they got a 2027 first-round pick, 2028 second-round pick, 2029 third-round pick. So they got a first-rounder next year and a pretty good draft year. Probably a late first-round pick, but still, they're going to have. If you think about where the Browns are and where they could finish, you're thinking that they're going to finish toward the bottom again. So they can get their quarterback, whether it be Arch Manning or whomever.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much team's going to be tanking for Arch Manning too.
Well, I mean, there's going to be other quarterbacks available, but Dante Moore out of Oregon, he's going to be out there too. But the late first round pick is going to be interesting because they can grab whichever quarterback they want with the first round pick. And then that later first round pick, they can get like an offensive lineman, another receiver, a corner, and then they have the second round pick. So literally they can get 3 picks in probably the top 35. I mean, that's not a bad way to make out in this. And they still have additional draft compensation a year or two after that. So the Browns didn't make out too bad.
Look at the Browns. They do. They got talent. You look at the Browns. They have pretty good young talent. They got pretty good running backs. They got some pretty good young tight ends. I mean, they're pretty good with that on young talent right now. And I like the way Shedeur Sanders played like the end of the season. He was starting to get his confidence going, and I liked the way he played. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's the starter, actually.
Shedeur, when he played at Colorado, he had moments where you're like, that the kid's got some game. The kid definitely has game. You put him in the right system, just like any quarterback.
Yeah.
If you put a quarterback in the right system, build around him, they'll be able to perform. Hopefully, they'll be able to perform because you can do all that, and if they can't play, then they can't play. I mean, that's just that simple. But he did show flashes last year. Really, 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 really good accuracy at times. But there were times where it's like he'd make a throw, and you're like, that wasn't good. But so the problem with the Browns is getting rid of that Deshaun Watson contract. They can do that. Then that'll free up more money against the cap, and then they can further build from there.
Yeah.
But until that happens, they're kind of stuck. But in the meantime, they can get some real talent over the next couple of years.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. The Browns. I mean, we understand why Myles Garrett didn't want to stay because he does not want to stay during a rebuild. I don't blame him. He wants to win a championship for the career.
And he shouldn't have. He should have left last year. But then again, if you look at it from his point of view, look at where you ended up.
Yeah.
You end up in a market like Los Angeles. He's going to have endorsement deals up to yin yang. He's going to be making money off the field. Much less on the field.
It really benefited the Browns because having the season sack record, it benefited him to where the Browns got a little bit more stock now because of the 3 draft picks and then obviously Jared Verse. So there you go. I mean, having the sack record, and you're going to get more.
Yeah,
more
and I know people were complaining, why didn't the Bills pull this off? They don't have a Jared Verse player. Type of player to trade away. TJ Parker could be that guy. He could be that guy in a year or two, but he's a rookie. You don't know what you have there. I like him coming out of Clemson. I think he's going to be a good player, but you don't know what you have. Russo, he's a decent defensive end. He's about a 7-8 sack guy previously under the previous defensive scheme. That's pretty decent, but it's not worthy of getting Myles Garrett.
No.
So and not to mention the draft compensation, because the Bills like to draft, develop, and sign their own guys.
And plus the cap doesn't help us, that either, because you're paying one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and that's what usually happens when you have a great quarterback.
Yes and no, because you know what? Stafford's making a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
Why were they able to pull this off? I think the problem with the Bills salary cap is that they didn't mismanage the top of the cap with Allen. They're mismanaging the middle of the cap. And I'll give you a perfect example is Dawson Knox. Mm-hmm. Dawson Knox should not be making the money he's making.
Oh no! So
that's turned out to be a big mistake, And then you had contracts like Milano. As much as I love Milano, he was injury prone. He'd get hurt every year, And I love the guy, but when you're missing 6-7 games a year, that's kind of a wasted contract.
Mm-hmm.
So then what? So I mean, it's not that Josh Allen's contract doesn't have as much to do with it as you think. It's
he does take pay cuts.
I mean, that's not even about taking a pay cut. It's more. To me, it's more or less how do you manage the rest of the cap?
Yeah.
And Bean really hasn't done that great a job with that part of it. He's decent at finding talent. I mean, he's done well with that, but it's the cap management that I question at this point.
Yeah, so that will, like I said, we'll see how that works out for both Cleveland and the Rams. And there was another trade, and we were waiting until June 1st. June 1st passed, and New England's got him, A.J. Brown from the Eagles.
Yeah, and he's a great receiver. There's no doubt. There's no doubt about that. He steps into the Stephon Diggs role of being the number one guy.
Plus he joins Romeo Dobbs, Matt Collins. Who knows if Keyshawn Booty will show up? They already got receiving core stacked.
Oh, their receiving core is great, and maybe Keyshawn Booty. I saw a couple blurbs where he may have asked for a trade, so we'll have to see if they accommodate him. I wouldn't blame him because he's a talented young receiver. But the only thing about the Patriots, well, and get to my point in a second, but not just the wide receiver position, but you look at the running back position. They have Ramon Stevenson, Trey Henderson, Travion Henderson. So they're there offensively. They definitely have the weapons. It comes down to Drake May. Now Drake May, for whatever reason, in the regular season he was great. He was accurate. Had a fantastic season, but as soon as he got to the playoffs, he seemed to have a little trouble with pressure. And the Seahawks were relentless in the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, they were all.
They pressured him, they sacked him, they brought him to the turf. They harassed him to the point where he was in a fetal position and cried out for mommy. But it comes down to him. He's got the weapons. There's no doubt about that. We just mentioned that. Can he put it together with AJ Brown? Because really, is AJ Brown an upgrade from Stephon Diggs? Probably, yeah. I'd say so. The only thing about it is,
plus AJ Brown is younger than Stephon.
He is. He's about a couple years younger, But the only thing I question about AJ Brown is there were rumors about him in the locker room and whatnot. NFL Network people were talking about it. ESPN people were talking about it. That's not tolerated in New England. Now, apparently, he grew up a Patriots fan. I don't know if you knew that. I think it was NFL Network or ESPN that had him showed a picture of him as a kid wearing a Tom Brady jersey.
I wonder why. Yeah, man.
So whatever, But so maybe he grows up, and be's that and is that team player.
He did behave himself with Vrabel when he was with Tennessee. I think there's more of a problem with Philadelphia and Nick Sirianni because I don't think his players like him that much. Jalen Hurts doesn't like him. Obviously, AJ Brown didn't like him. So maybe it's because of Nick Sirianni.
Well, you know what? It could be Sirianni. It could be the locker room. For whatever reason, it just didn't mix. You know how you take like a group of star players, or you have a star player, you put them in a locker room, and you're thinking to yourself, boy, that's a lineup right there. Because they had Devontae Smith. They had A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley, so they had talent. They had, the Dallas Goedert. So the talent was there. I think, but for whatever reason, it just didn't hit. Why? Who knows?
Maybe it was overly talent and a lot of egos. Remember, the Bills had in '89.
Well, yeah. We can, but I don't think it's more or less that. I just think that for whatever reason, it just didn't pan out. And now you look at the compensation that the Eagles received, a first-round pick in 2027. First-round pick in 2028 and a fifth-round pick in 2027. I don't know about that. Could the Bills have done that? I don't know. Again, you're talking about the cap. They only have like so much money. Could they have restructured the contract? Yeah. But I don't think the Bills want a headache. And that's probably that might have played a part. But you know what? If you feel like you're close and you feel like AJ Brown, a weapon like AJ Brown, can get you over the hump, then you do it. But the problem is, I think the focus and the worry, I shouldn't say worry, but with so much of a turnover and a scheme change on defense, that could be an issue in the beginning of the season. So, I mean, that's probably where their focus is. But you know what? You look at the receiving core, it's not bad with DJ Moore, Khalil Shakir. But then after that, what do you have? You have Skylar Moore. He's a rookie.
Skylar Bell.
Or, I'm sorry, Skylar Bell. But you know what? I mean.
And you got Josh Palmer, who, if he's healthy, is he that type of player that we signed him for last season? Because
I mean, if you look at that first game against Baltimore, I thought, and don't forget about Keon Coleman, because both those guys made huge plays in the first game of the year. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, boy, Keon Coleman's probably turned a corner. He had over 100 yards that game. Joshua Palmer made a couple of huge catches, especially the one on the game-winning drive.
And the start of the Falcons game, too. Don't forget, he was playing well until he got injured.
And that's the thing. That's been Joshua Palmer's problem. And he's only 26 years old. So there still could be something there. I think they're still going to make another signing after June 1. That's when you get like these signings, the cap friendly signings. So we'll see if they we'll see if they bring in a receiver or corner or defensive or another edge rusher. I mean, if you look at all the players that the Bills let go in the offseason, how many of those guys have been signed? Milano's still out there. Trey White's still out there. Now,
I think really that's because of injuries too. By both of these players.
Could be.
It really comes down to it.
Could be, but they're still out there. Yeah. So could they be bringing back like Milano or Trey White or whomever? I'd like to see Brandon Cooks come back.
Yeah, that's who I would like.
I mean, he of all the players last year that they signed later on in the year, he made an impact. I mean, he really did. So I would like to see them bring him back. But I mean, right now it's all about, okay, June 1st is here and you've seen a couple of huge moves. These aren't just moves. These are gigantic. Did the AJ Brown trade tip the scales back in, are the Patriots the favorite right now?
We don't know.
Probably.
But
if you look at it, they haven't had to do a coaching change. The only problem with them really is the head coach decided to have a fling with an ESPN reporter. Whatever.
Yeah. And plus, there's more tape on Drake May now. I mean, people are going to watch the Super Bowl and how to attack Drake May. In all honesty, in there. So that's basically the thing. But should we panic about DJ Moore? He says that he's having growing pains.
It's OTAs. I've never. It's OTAs. I'm not worried. About DJ Moore has played through more than a few offensive systems. It's sometimes it's verbiage, sometimes it's one like verbiage means in a previous system it meant this route, but now it means this route. Now
he was with Joe Brady before, but Joe Brady's going to change his verbiage from Carolina to Buffalo. So
So
that's
I'm
the
not.
thing.
I
I'm
wouldn't
not.
worry about it. I think DJ Moore is good for 60 catches, maybe 850 yards and 6 touchdowns, just as an estimate. And then
Yeah.
you have Khalil Shakir. He's going to be Mr. Reliable, 70 catches, 800 yards. And then we'll see what Skylar Bell can do. And then Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman is like the wild card in this whole thing. What can he
And
do? Because third year is like your make or break.
See, I wouldn't be
in a lot
surprised
of
if he gets traded this during the season too. We never know. If you see him more on the bench, I'm thinking that they're going to trade him during the season, where somebody will want to get him, and probably us getting another, a better receiver.
Well, here's the thing. I wouldn't put it past the Bills to trade Keon Coleman close to the season. Because they do have a tendency to do that sometimes.
Yeah.
They did it with Sammy Watkins the one year. So I wouldn't put it past them. What could they get back? It would be a draft pick, probably a middle rounder, 4th, 5th rounder, maybe. And the Bills like those later round picks, those mid to late round picks. So that's what I would believe that they could get back in return for him. It would be taking a bath because they put a 2nd round pick on him. That's what they used. So I wouldn't put it past the Bills to make a couple of trades right around the end of training camp. So so if you see Keon Coleman getting a lot of playing time in preseason, that would be the reason why. To see if they can pull off something, to clear a spot. Terrell Shavers, how does he come back from his injury? Because I'll tell you, the kid, you got to love kids like that.
Oh, I think he played pretty well before he got hurt. He had a very good game against Tampa.
You're talking about a kid, big, 6'4", about 215 pounds, had a decent year catching the ball, but he also had a great year blocking. So that was huge. That was huge right there. And I know they love the kid. Hopefully he can come back from that. So if again, we'll have to wait and see how Keon Coleman develops. If he looks like he can maybe muster something this year, like maybe 40 catches, 50 catches, maybe they do trade him. Maybe they do and try to get some draft compensation, open up a spot for somebody, But I'm cautiously optimistic about him, because you look at that first game, and I'll always go back to that game. He showed so much, and then all of a sudden it was like, what happened?
And you look at it this way: the Bills have so many veterans that'll sit him down, talk to him. You got to remember, he's only 21, 22 years old, so that's technically young to an NFL roster, and I think it's like, really, they gotta sit him down and tell him, look, you got to be at meetings. You gotta learn from meetings and that. You got to learn from the videos. See how the people do routes. And that's one thing that he made a mistake on, by showing up late to meetings, not paying attention to the videos, and and you can't just go on the field practice. It's also the meetings and videos.
Well, my brother-in-law had this conversation a while back, and it's like, when you draft a kid and he's 21 years old, and you want him to be a mature ball player, chances are, you really are running the risk about that. because now you're asking him to be an adult when he's still relatively a kid. And you're looking at the and when I look at the depth chart at receiver right now, it looks like it's DJ Moore, Joshua Palmer, and Khalil Shakir, and then behind that, Keon Coleman, Skylar Bell, and after that, it's like you got your Terrell Shavers, Macaulay Hardman, Trent Sherfield, who's back, and then you have some rookie free agents.
Yeah.
So you really don't know. There's a lot of questions. There's like two certainties: Khalil Shakir and DJ Moore.
Yeah.
Okay, and then after that, it's like, where do you go?
Exactly.
So, and hopefully Dalton Kincaid can be healthy this year.
Yep. All right, so let's switch to hockey. And well, we had an award that was passed out, but in that Coach of the Year, well, it wasn't Lindy. It was Jonathan Cooper.
Yeah, I mean, this was kind of like one of those things where it's like, to me, it would have been nice to see, because it's not necessarily a recognition of Lindy. It's Buffalo getting some recognition, putting it, up there. But Jonathan Cooper, it's like, really? Didn't the Sabres beat them? I mean, the Sabres beat them three. They were 3-0-1 against them. They were 3-1 against them in the regular season. So it's like,
December, and then all of a sudden we won the division.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Cooper has all this talent.
I mean, there's only one trophy that really matters. So.
Yes, it's the big one that the Golden Knights and the Hurricanes are playing for.
Right. So, but it would have been nice, but it's like, you see something like that, and it's like,
I think Lindy won.
What were the voters thinking? I would have liked to have seen like who voted for John Cooper.
Yeah.
And
who are the voters?
It was sad. I mean, it was sad to see. I mean, Lindy didn't lose by much, mind you.
No.
He didn't lose by much. But the fact that he lost to a coach that he beat in the regular season, it definitely makes you think. It really does. But at the end of the day, what does it really mean?
Exactly. I mean, I think he wants that big one, and which I think I would not blame him. I would personally rather have the Stanley Cup over a Coach of the Year. Like I would trade in Josh Allen's NFL MVP award for a Super Bowl. Right. Super Bowl win. These are basically individual awards, and not. I'd rather have the team award.
Right. So, I mean, it's sad to see because Lindy did deserve it, but he's won one with the Devils. He's won one with Buffalo. He already has a couple of them. So, and you know what? And you know what? Buffalo is back on the map as far as a hockey town.
Oh, yeah.
So they have other concerns right now. They've got some free agents. They've got some, they've got some player moves. They're probably going to lose Alex Tuck. That's the way I'm kind of looking at it right now. There was a blurb that, that the Buffalo, that the Sabres are targets for offer sheets, AKA, i.e. Zach Benson. So there's going to be some probably crazy team out there ready to offer him some crazy money, and then it's up to the Sabres to decide, if they want to match that kind of thing. And really, the offer sheet system is crazy in the NHL.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that to Vanek. Mm-hmm. That's because we lost both Drury and Briere. And I still do not like Darcy Regier for that. I mean, you could have kept one of them and I would have been happy. But he's like, I don't do business in the middle of the season. But, dude, these two are important pieces of trying to get a Stanley Cup when you're here.
Well,
and we had to force ourselves to sign Vanek to that long-term contract.
Well, one of the stories that was going around was that they had Chris Drury sign. They had agreed to a deal, but they didn't sign it yet, and I can't remember what the reasons were. But all indications were that Chris Drury was going to stay a Sabre, and then stuff happened after that. The Rangers came in and just blew Drury out of the water. Didn't mean anything because his career went down, went down the toilet after that.
Mm-hmm.
But just to give you an indication, now taking Zach Benson into account here, this is what we could be looking at as far as the offer sheet. If he's offered something below $2.34 million, okay, say it's right at that limit. And the Sabres don't match, they get no compensation. Okay? Now, if they offer him something in between $2.34 million and $4.68 million, okay, and the Sabres don't match, they get 1 second-round pick. Okay? Now, above that, now this is where the crazy money starts, probably. Now, if you're talking about if they offer him between $4.68 million and a little over $7 million, if they don't decide to match, then they get 1 first-round pick and 1 third-round pick. So even so, that I don't know if that's worth it. To me, you match. Okay, now
I think he'll be signed. I think he'll be signed before July 1st. I hope
so because there's teams out there like Utah that have cap space. There's some team out there with cap space that's willing to go nutty. Because after that, this is insane. Okay, after that, you're talking about if he gets offered between a little over $7 million, between $9.3 million, and the Sabres don't match, the Sabres would get a first, a second, and a third. Okay, and then after that is like, this is where stupid money comes into play. A little of $9.3 million to around $11.7 million. In between that, if they don't match, they get first, second, and one. No, I'm sorry. They get 2 firsts, a second, and a third. And then if it gets to be like Connor McDavid money or whatever, like, you deserve to be in insane asylum money.
Yeah.
If it's $11.7 million and above that, for somebody, like, say, for 7 years, 8 years, I forget what the limit is, 4 first-round picks in consecutive years. So, to me, I think I think they said that his average annual value was probably $5 million a year, maybe something like that. So you could be looking at around 7 years, $35-40 million. You're looking at Josh Doan money.
Yeah.
So there's no way they're signing. There's no way they're signing Alex Tuck.
Yeah, if they pay Benson $5 million to $6 million, you're going to see Tuck pretty much become a free agent. Oh, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, and not to mention, you're trying to get Bowen signed to an extension. You're talking about another $7 million a year there.
Yeah, it's like a risk reward. Tuck, he's 30-something years old, where Byram is 27, I believe. And then you got Benson. Again, he's young. You want to keep these players long term. You want to keep these players long term because, you're gunning for the cup right now. It's like, Tuck maybe has 2 more years left, and if you're paying him 2 years, I don't know, let's say $14 million. That's kind of too much for a 30-something-year-old.
Well, here's the thing about Bowen. He's actually 24. Going on 25. Right there, you're looking at a guy you can sign for, like, let's just say 6 years. Okay, 42 million. Let's just throw that number out there. He's only going to be 30, 31 years old by the time that contract ends. I mean, and not only that, but you keep your top 4 defensemen together.
Yep.
You know, so I mean, I'm not saying that they're in a pickle or anything like that, because at this point, I don't think they're in a pickle, but they have some hard decisions to make.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I have. Mm-hmm. I mean, they got talent. There's so much talent down in Rochester. There's so much talent on our roster. Where, okay, you know, one comes up to like obviously Helen is just staying up here, and then you have like maybe Maturka comes up here. You know, or Merca, excuse me, I messed up Paterka and Merca. But you know, you got all this talent down in Rochester that's ready to come up here.
Well, I mean, we're seeing it with Consta Helenius. You know, I mean, that kid. I mean, he scored the game winner.
And don't forget about Yuri Kulik.
So Kulik. So I mean, you have a lot of young players coming up at the same time. You know, it's not that you know you have like one player coming up and you're expecting him like a year or two down the road. You have players that are coming up right now. I mean, Burkham may be ready to go now at the age of 19, because you're looking at Consta, and you're probably looking at a kid because he is I believe he's an RFA this year. Hold on here. No, actually, he is under. Wait a minute. Just making sure. He is under contract for next year, but he's one of those guys. He is under contract for 27 for the 27-28 season, but he's one of those guys that you got to think about an extension for. You know, if he makes the team next year, okay, and yeah, I fully expect him to make the team next year. If he puts up, say, like, I don't know, let's just say 24 goals, 26 assists for 50 points at the age of 21 years old. I mean, you and now he's going to go into his contract year.
Oh yeah, and then
it's his contract year coming up, so yeah, he could cash in, you know, and then you'd be so you got to be looking at, okay, I think the guy that you look to trade away is Ryan McLeod.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody wants speed on their roster.
I mean, he's speed. He had a decent year, but you're talking about 2 more years left on a deal that's worth $5 million a year. You could use that money. I mean, you could definitely use that money. And another guy, Jordan Greenway. This is his. I mean, he's actually a free agent, so I don't think you bring him back. No, Jason Zucker.
No. He's the oldest one out of the group.
Well, actually, you know what? Oh, I'm sorry. I did misspeak there. I do apologize. I'm old. My brain isn't there right now. But you have Zucker on 1 more year. He's going to be 34. He's going to be 35 years old. Jordan Greenway's 1 more year. Both of those two together is $8.7 million. That's falling off the cap next year. So right there, you have money to spend on Helenius, Kulik, and those guys. You have Jack Quinn, who's going into next year. That's his last year on his deal, and he's making 3.3. What do you do with Jack Quinn? You know, Justin Danforth, Next year's his last year at 1.8. Sam Carrick, 1 million. So there's some money, there's potential money that could be falling off the cap next year. Because right now your top three guys are Josh Norris, Tage Thompson, and Josh Doan.
Mm-hmm.
Those are your top three salary guys. Josh Norris, if they can somehow find a way to get rid of Josh Norris's contract, somehow trade him away, get a crappy draft pick. Nobody's going to like that, but at this point you have to figure out a way to clear money to make room for guys like Helenius, Kulik, Merca, maybe. Peyton Krebs, he's a restricted free agent right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Krebs. He does things that nobody else does.
By the way, we have to mention the host of the bus driver, of the No Exit Experience, Jason. He commented about McLeod being the spiritual son. And that Danny Briere may have had 95 points if Roy was a locker room poison. Well, I don't know.
Well, I did, back in the day, that talk was out there. It was. Whether that's believable or not, who knows? But but Derek Roy put up numbers. He did put up numbers back then. But I think, grand scheme of things, I think the Sabres they have a lot of decisions to make. At least next year, they have their top four under contract, and they have Connor Timmins under contract, which is really interesting because I like the way he played when he was in there. And they have Zach Metza, who he was serviceable and did his thing. So my thing about the defense is they have to figure out what to do with the 5 and 6 defensemen. Then Michael Kesselring, he's a restricted free agent.
I don't see Stanley really staying. I mean, there's
no. I think him.
Mine was on the ball when Stanley didn't play.
Yeah, him and Shen, those guys are. I think those two guys are done. They might resign Stanley if they can get the right deal. But I'll tell you what, the thing you got to look out for now is revisiting trades that didn't happen at the trade deadline. Thomas.
And which were close. We were this close. Yeah.
They didn't want Josh Norris. But would they? But now that the season's gone, does Poreyko say yes to the trade now, knowing that knowing that the Sabres are not exactly bottom to, that they're a good team now? Does he agree to the team? Him, Thomas, and then who do you throw in? Do you throw in McLeod? Maybe you throw in, I don't know. I mean, who do you put in that trade? Maybe Merca. Do you put in Merca? Do you put in I don't know, in McLeod? Who else would you put? Jack Quinn? You get rid of those two. You put Helenius, Osland, Kulik. You make room for those guys. I hate to give up Merca, but I mean, you feel like you're close. I mean, you give up those three guys, you throw in a first-round pick. Do the Blues say no? I don't know.
I mean, I think they are rebuilding too.
So it's one of those things where it's like, and Parayko, I don't know. I think if the Sabres would have had him in the lineup, they might have gotten past Montreal. They might have. Because you take him, you put him at like your 5 and 6 defensive spot, Man, that's a good. You put him and Timmins together. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So I mean, there are deals to be made, and Yarko is aggressive. How aggressive does he want to be? I don't know, but it kind of makes me nervous because I better not see Kasahelinius, Osland, or Kulik in there. But if you have to trade one of the young guys, I would trade Kulik if you could.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I would trust him a little bit after having that illness. Yeah, and it may take him time to even get back to being like himself, I think. Because
what? But then here's the thing. Those players I mentioned, you throw in Kulik in there. Sweeten the pot. Here you go.
Yeah.
Sabres get Poreko and Scott Thomas. What are you going to say?
I'll take him.
The Blues are getting like a lot of good young talent, not just good young talent, but roster ready talent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I mean, I would hate to see Jack Quinn go, but I think Osland. I mean, it's amazing with a player that he turned out to be. Because you're talking about they make the claim two-way player. You know, he's a two-way player, but he's good at it. He's good. And Helenius is that offensive spark. You know, he can give you, if he plays full-time next year, he can give you 25 goals next year. Same thing with Osland. Osland would make that Eichel trade look that much better.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Him and Krebs. But, yeah. And don't forget, there's also forwards like Tyson Kozak and Beck Malenstein. You know, Malenstein was pretty important. You know, and so I hope to see Zach Benson. I hope they sign Zach Benson to a long-term deal, but it wouldn't surprise me if they get a bridge deal done for like 2 or 3 years. You've got to look at your.
Yeah. So, you know, what Jason said was McLeod is a spiritual son of Bobby Hall. So, okay.
Okay, then he should be scoring like Bobby Hall. How about that?
Yeah, he should be scoring like Bobby Hall, Jason. Yeah, come on, man.
Brett Hall. Okay, how about somewhere between Brett Hall and Bobby Hall? Can we get 50 goals?
We don't talk about Brett Hall around here. We don't. No. You know what he did.
Hey, listen. I lived through that. That was an absolute nightmare night. Okay, that was a 17 work hour day for me that day.
You probably had to bleep some comments too.
Listen. I still wake up in the middle of the night with shakes and PTSD screaming mommy because of that night. Okay? So
I think every fan in Buffalo, but real quick. Yeah. So real quick, Vegas and Carolina. I still think Carolina's going to pull this series out.
You know, the thing is, they didn't necessarily get off to a slow. Carolina didn't necessarily get off to a slow start.
No,
against Vegas. Not like it
was a great game.
Not like against Montreal. It was back and forth all night. But you're looking at this series could go. It's weird because the way Vegas is playing right now, it's almost like they're meant to win this now.
Mm.
You know, they're getting the bounces. They're getting timely goals. They're getting timely saves, key saves, big saves. You know, and it's like they are set up to win this. Tortorella he's pushing the right buttons. He's doing everything right. It seems like, but not to say Carolina can't tie it up tonight.
No,
because tonight's big. Tonight, I mean, this game 2 is huge because if they can tie it up, get a split in Vegas. Now you're talking about best of 3, and then it's anybody's series. So and they do have home ice advantage, but as we know, home ice advantage in the NHL isn't what it used to be. So, and then you got like guys like Shea Theodore, Brett Howden. They had 3 points, and the former Sabre Braden McNabb. Do you remember him?
Yep.
3-6. So
Sabre, you're going to win cups, and that's all that happened.
But that was that expansion draft where they lost him. So I can't. I believe it was the expansion draft. But then Carolina's got like Nikolai Ehlers. He put up a couple goals. Where's Sebastian Aho? So you want to be a legend, you got to come up. And Jordan Stahl is like 37 years old. Okay, the famous Stalls. He's like one of 3 of them.
How many Stalls are there? It almost sounds like the Courtnalls,
or the Sutters. Hey, nobody beats the Sutters. They had 6 of them in the league at one point, and then they had like 2 or 3 kids follow them. So I don't know, but
or the Lemieux, or the
oh my God, but game 2 is huge tonight. They have to win. Game 2 is a must. I pull it off.
I still think this series is going to be a tight series either way. I still say it's going to be a 6-game series.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it could be a 6-game series, but they have to win game 2, because if it's game 2, if they don't win game 2, you're looking at a 5-game series.
Mm-hmm.
To me, anyway.
And then in the NBA championship, we have the Knicks pulling off game 1. And there's a serious injury with San Antonio.
Well, I will say this about the Knicks. They hung in there.
Mm-hmm.
They hung in there. They were down by like 10 at one point. And Jalen Brunson, who finished with 30 points, but not only him, but Karl Anthony Towns had finished with 18 points, 12 rebounds, and the unsung hero probably is Josh Hart,
mm-hmm.
who only had 3 points but had 15 rebounds and 4 steals. So he was doing work. He wasn't putting up points, but he was doing work. So, and the Knicks, when they were down by 10, I think they're down by 10, somewhere around there. I'm like, okay, are the Knicks going to panic? Because the Knicks have had good teams before in the past, but they couldn't finish it. They just couldn't finish. And now they found a way to get it done. So now they're up 1-0 in the series and only need 3 more.
And that's a good chance, and New York City has not had a championship in a while, so.
I wasn't even born yet.
Yeah, well, the Knicks actually, that's when Phil Jackson was playing for the Knicks.
Phil Jackson, Reed.
Hey, Phil Jackson.
Yeah.
Yep.
But,
wonder what came of his career. Had a little help with Michael Jordan too. So,
well, yeah, you can say what you want about Phil Jackson, but he won with the Bulls and he won with the Lakers.
Yep.
He had great players, but you know what? It takes a great coach to bring great players together and win. They called him the Zen. They didn't call him the Zen Master for nothing. So there.
Definitely a Hall of Fame coach, no matter what. Him, Pat Riley, all them. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks win now. I think they're going to probably take advantage of that injury to the San Antonio Spurs. But we'll see. San Antonio could tie the series tomorrow and be a whole new series. But I just see now the Knicks taking advantage of it and hopefully bring an NBA championship back to New York. So,
oh my God, that would be free. That would be crazy. That would be absolutely nutty because the parade that they would have in New York City,
Ticker tape.
ticker tape, whatever you want to call it, it would be incredible to watch, you know. But they're not there yet. They're not there. They're not there yet. You know, so we have to kind of, so if you are a Knicks fan, just know this: you have been here before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what's happened before? I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, and we will not talk about Aaron Judge getting hurt. I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, the thoughts and prayers to Yankees. Not.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, it should be these two series I like. I mean, the Knicks and Spurs, I've never seen them. You never seen them play each other, and then you got Vegas and Carolina. But I mean, both of them won cups. But like I said, both of them I think should be good series in that, and and entertaining.
Well, yeah. I mean, I fully. I mean, again, it depends on game two in both series. Because the Knicks are tough. They are a tough team. They go up 2-0, and now the Spurs are more than capable of winning 2 games in a row in New York. But I would trust.
Well, so let's wrap up with this question: would Rich Wicca be a home run king if he was playing baseball?
I would say, you know what, he's got a chance, but he's got to watch. He has trouble with the high heat, the high inside heat. If he can correct his swing, he's got a shot.
Oh yeah, for sure. Take care, everybody.
Okay, I'm fading to black.
Excellent.
Oh no.